Hi everyone, our top lead. The air in Delhi is thick with anticipation as we speak. The new parliament opens its doors to India tomorrow. Will the new parliament begin on an auspicious note and breathe back life into an old, long pending demand? 33% reservation for women in parliament and state assemblies for 15 years. Not forever, just for 15 years. It's called the Women's Reservation Bill. And for the last 27 years, ladies and gentlemen, attempts have been made to pass it. Not once, not twice, but 6 times. And all 6 times, it has met with failure. There was no consensus. Can Prime Minister Modi do it? Prioritize a group that votes overwhelmingly and, importantly, overwhelmingly for him. More women voted than men in the 2019 elections. That is a statistic that the Election Commission of India has given us. In fact, women are half of this country's population. Then why should they remain so underrepresented in our parliamentary democracy? Ladies and gentlemen, women make just 14% of the Lok Sabha, just 14%. So will we see the special session turn out to be really special for women? Possibly. There is no official word from the government, but there is a cabinet meeting that is currently underway, and the Prime Minister has hinted at historic decisions in the new session. Listen in.
ये सत्र छोटा है, लेकिन समय के हिसाब से ये बहुत बड़ा है। ऐतिहासिक निर्णयों का एक सत्र है। ये सत्र की एक विशेषता ये तो है कि अब 75 साल की यात्रा अब नए मुकाम से आरंभ हो रही है।
प्रारंभ में महिलाओं की सदस्य संख्या कम थी, लेकिन धीरे धीरे माताओं बहनों ने भी इस सदन की गरिमा को बढ़ाया है। इस सदन के गरिमा में बहुत बड़ा बदलाव लाने में उनका योगदान रहा है। इस कालखंड में करीब 600 महिला सांसदों ने भी इस सदन की गरिमा को बढ़ाया है, दोनों सदन की। ये भारत के लोकतंत्र की ताकत है कि 25 साल की उम्र की चंद्रमणि मुर्मू इस सदन की सदस्य बनी थी। सिर्फ 25 साल की उम्र की सबसे छोटी उम्र की सदस्य बनी थी।
Yes, just 600 MPs out of the total 7,500 MPs have been women in the last 77 years. The Congress, like most other parties in the country today, is on board for the Women's Reservation Bill, which is what is giving hope that possibly the bill will be passed in 2023 if it is introduced on the floor of the new parliament. Listen in to what Mallikarjun Kharge said on the floor of the House today.
इस समय राज्यसभा में 10% और लोकसभा में 14% महिला सांसद है। विधानसभाओं में महिलाओं की भागीदारी 10% है। लेकिन 70 साल के बाद भी आज 14, 15, 10 के अंदर ही है। महिला थी तो अमेरिकी, मैं और भी आंकड़े देता हूं कि महिलाओं को दूसरे जगह भी ऐसा ही हो रहा। अमेरिकी संसद में 2%, ब्रिटेन में 3% महिला सांसद थे। आज अमेरिका की संसद में 28% और ब्रिटेन में 33% महिला सांसद आज है। तो इसीलिए मैं आपसे गुजारिश करूंगा कि इस महिलाओं का जो बिल है इसको आप ये कर दीजिए।
In March this year, BRS MLC and Telangana Chief Minister's daughter, K. Kavita, had sat on a hunger strike at Jantar Mantar demanding the early passage of the Women's Reservation Bill. Today, BRS leaders once again held a demonstration in front of the Gandhi statue at Parliament demanding that this bill be passed. Meanwhile, it was not just the Prime Minister. There was another hint that the Women's Reservation Bill could be round the corner. Rajya Sabha Chairperson and Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar reconstituted the panel of Vice Chairpersons with 50% parliamentarians in it. So the 8-member panel will now have 4 women members. In fact, there was an exchange between him and the Shiva Sena's Priyanka Chaturvedi. And when Priyanka Chaturvedi spoke about introducing the Women's Reservation Bill, Mr. Dhankar said, "Nirash hone ki koi zarurat nahi hai. There is no reason for you to be disheartened." Now, take a look at the numbers as we make a case for the Women's Reservation Bill. It's an affirmative action that will only empower this country, not just the women of this country, but this country itself. Lok Sabha has just 15% women, while the Rajya Sabha has just 14. How is that okay in a country where women are Adhi Abadi, almost 50%? Even Pakistan has a better ratio than us at 20%. And it's not like an effort wasn't made. But sometimes it wasn't enough, and most times there was no consensus. Let's go back a little in history, only 27 years, though the talk of women's reservation has been happening since independence, in fact, a little before independence as well. The bill was first introduced in the Lok Sabha way back in 1996 as the 81st Amendment Bill, that is 27 years ago. But it lapsed after the Lok Sabha was dissolved. In 1998, the bill was reintroduced in the Lok Sabha. This time also the bill lapsed. Reason? No support. The bill was introduced again in 1999, 2002 and 2003, but it was met with the same fate as previous times. In 2008, the bill was tabled in the Rajya Sabha and was eventually passed in 2010. Now, this was supposed to be a ray of hope, but the bill was never introduced in the lower house and it lapsed with the dissolution of the house. There hasn't been any movement on the bill ever since. 2023 seems to have raised some hopes.
When our forefathers drafted the constitution, there was a belief that when they gave equality to all citizens, voting rights to every citizen, which other countries fought for, women of other countries had to fight for those rights. It was given to us as part of the constitution in the belief that women will be treated at par with men. Unfortunately, over the years, women have been denied that space in power-making tables. So this is a commitment that has been pending for over 30 years. It has been part of the BJP's manifesto. It is unfortunate that BJP party has not even lived up to its commitment, not lived up to its manifesto promise, and continues to deny women a reservation or a table or a seat at the power table.
Women's Reservation Bill was introduced by Honorable Deva Gowda ji in 1996, not the Congress Party. Two, yes, the Congress Party made sure the bill passed in Rajya Sabha, for which all the women of this country have given credit to the Congress Party. But in the last 16 years, Congress Party did not lift a little finger to do anything about this bill. And also, in fact, they were so arrogant that they even forgot to mention the Women's Reservation Bill in the 2019 National Manifesto of Congress Party. So if you do not even care to mention this bill in your manifesto, that shows the kind of seriousness that you have towards this bill.
Let me go across to my guest this evening. We have Nikhat Abbas, spokesperson of the BJP, joining us. Hi, Nikhat. Good to have you on the show. We have Matthew Antony, spokesperson of the Congress Party, joining us as well. Nahid Lari Khan is spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, will be joining us in just a bit. So will Sandeep Shastri, who is the national coordinator of the Lok Niti Network. Thank you all very much. It's important today to hear everyone's view. This is not a subject where we can do any sort of tutu meme. So we will not reduce this to a circus. We usually never reduce our debates to a circus. So I'm going to request your cooperation, all of your cooperation for that. First things first, I really want to know, Nikhat Abbas, from you, since you're the spokesperson of the BJP, and there has been complete silence by the BJP as to what the historic decisions are going to be in the new parliament. Can I just ask you whether the Women's Reservation Bill is going to be tabled in the new session or not? Are you any wiser than us? We know there's a cabinet meeting going on right now. Once it's over, we'll probably have some source-based information. But why the great hesitation? If the government is attempting to table the Women's Reservation Bill, It's a good thing. You'll be patted on the back. Why such a secret?
No, there's nothing of this so that it's a secret. I think when the session was announced that there'll be going to be a 5-day special session, we were very clear on the agenda a few days later, and we have it on the table today that we're discussing the 4, and there might be few more bills which would be discussed. But however, like the way emotionally today PM has addressed the entire nation and bid a farewell to the older parliament as we enter tomorrow into the new parliament, he has already highlighted the civilizational values and the democratic rights of the parliament. We walk into the new parliament tomorrow with a very progressive and positive agenda. And all what I can say is that if at all any bill, as you put it, maybe women reservations bill would come, it will be very constitutionally done, and it will be obviously cherry on the cake for all of us. And I think that is something due for so many years. And if it comes, it will be a pat on the back, obviously. But the question remains the same, that why is that the opposition is trying to make speculations once again? You have been telling us that you wanted the women reservations bill. In the all-party meeting also, the opposition staged a line that we want a women's reservation bill. Today, Kharge Sahab also said and talked about that. So I think it's just the speculation what they're trying to make. It's just that they just want to, have a round-table discussion so that they can
let's
take
be
the
fair
ball
to
in
the
their court.
opposition.
However, I think it is an important bill, and if it comes, it will be coming with a proper discussion.
Nikhat, let's be fair to the opposition here. Okay, let's be fair to the opposition.
Please go ahead.
It's not the opposition that is speculating. It is not the opposition that is speculating. It's the media that is speculating. Through the day today, in fact. Now, we have someone who's come running to the studio. Let's get him in. Tehseen Poonawala.
No, sir.
Where is the opposition
it's not
speculating? It's the media speculating.
It's not only the media.
And we have no other choice, because the government is not telling us. We have no other choice. First, there was a secret about the special session. Now, whether the women's reservation bill is going to be introduced or not, I hope to God, Tehseen, that it is. That in our lifetimes we see it passed, because it's been hanging fire for the last 27 years. 6 times there's been an attempt to pass it. This government not only has the majority, the brute majority, in this case for this bill, it also has the backing of the opposition.
Which is true.
There is nothing that can stop it.
Which is true. And a bill was passed in Rajya Sabha when the Congress was there, the UPA. So bill passed in Rajya Sabha doesn't expire, because Rajya Sabha as a house doesn't expire. The members change. So the bill continues to remain in force. It just has to pass in Lok Sabha. The government had a majority in the last government as well, 2014 to 2019. But there are 2 points to consider. We are in Amrit Kal. Welcome to Amrit Kal, where a senior journalist like Shreya and a very capable BJP spokesperson like Negat does not know what is going to happen. So shouldn't we have in Amrit Kal, at least we know what's happening rather than media having to speculate? Point number 2, I am told now very clearly that this bill will be passed, but it will be subject to come into force 2029. So they're going to do nothing. You know why? Because
I don't understand what you're saying.
It will be tabled now. So when they do the delimitation exercise in 2016, that's when the quota increase, that's what they're going to do. So in effect, I am told nothing's going to happen, because the delimitation, I don't know how the southern states are going to go with it, because they have a massive problem with the seat increase for the northern states, which I think, because they control their population, is not good. So what I'm told is this may even come into effect in 2029, not in 2024. So I don't know what they're doing. But larger thing.
Here's what I'll say.
They're giving women 33% seat, it's great.
If Prime Minister Modi manages to do it, a pat on the back to him. Because for 30 years, which Prime Minister has been able to push it?
2024. But then...
Whenever. How does it matter?
2029.
Ho jaye.
No, but then in 2029, if a new government comes, 2024, and then the delimitation exercise doesn't take place, how will this come? Are you going to do it now, subject 2024? That is the key, and there I would be on your show saying pat on the back to the Prime Minister. If it comes without terms and conditions, it should not be subject to delimitation. That to me is the question. If it's subject to delimitation, Shreya, it may pass as a law. CA passed. Did they notify it? That is the problem. So that's being clever than half. You think you'll get the BJP thinks women are not smart. Women are much smarter than us men. Much smarter.
That is true. But also remember that women overwhelmingly, because they are smart or whatever, vote for Prime Minister Modi. Overwhelmingly. That is what numbers show us. No. Anecdotally, I can tell you that.
I know you voted for the BJP.
I did.
I know you did.
But no, I can tell you that, women in my household and women in households across, he is popular with the women.
No doubt about it. So
Very,
he
very
should
popular
do
with
this
the
for
women.
the women. So he should do this for the women 2024. No terms, no conditions, no subject to delimitation. And I promise you, I would pat the Prime Minister and say this, it's worthy of it because it's been stuck for 30 years.
And if he does it, I'll vote for him. One will question me, and no one will say, you can't make your political affiliations, etc., etc. No, I think...
If you tell the BJP spokesperson will keep attacking you when you ask that question.
It's the BJP that attacks me more than the Congress.
Never attacks you.
Matthew Anthony, come in here. Thank you very much for being on the show. Come in here. Do you see merit in what Tehseen is saying? That even if there is some sort of tabling that happens, it may not be for the 2024 elections, it will be for 2029. First things first, do you see it happening in the special session?
Shreya, I am not a media person to kind of speculate. It is for the government to have put the agenda very clearly, rather than going in a surprise mode to all other people who are elected representatives in the parliament to know what is really going to happen in the parliament. We are not in a birthday party to have surprises in the parliament. The government should have given the agenda very clearly on what it is like. And the Congress party has been very clear about our stand on the Women Reservation Bill from the very beginning. If at all I can recall the history from the Constituent Assembly onwards, we have given representation for the women from the voting power. Then in Rajiv Gandhi, late Sri Rajiv Gandhi introduced the Panchayat and the local governance reservation bill for the women in 1989. It passed the Lok Sabha, but it didn't pass the Rajya Sabha. And then P.V. Narasimha Rao reintroduced the bill, and we got that one. 15 lakh women representatives are there in the country right now in the local self-governance, and that's around 40% of it. So we claim the legacy of it. Now, what is the secrecy of this government? Because 70 crores of the people in this country are women. So Prime Minister is really playing politics to take it to his credit, whereas, all other parties, especially the Congress party, has been clearly proving this point, irrespective of the women's electoral size, that no, we want reservation for women from the very beginning. So we are very clear about it. And, as a political representative, I really need not have to run behind the doors to know what is really going to happen. It is a duty of the government to kind of disclose what is going to happen. What is so surprising this to the elected representatives? And,
Okay, I buy your point there. I buy your point there.
Yes,
but Matthew, this is where I disagree with you. This is where I disagree with you. I buy your point about this whole secrecy about the special session and the agenda before that, etc. It was highly unnecessary. I mean, we are in a parliamentary democracy. Tell us what our parliament is going to do, right? But I disagree with you. Here, the point is that if the Prime Minister and this government do manage to table the Women's Reservation Bill, again, the caveat is we don't know. It may happen, it may not happen, dear viewers. We don't know. This is just an intelligent guess, and based on that intelligent guess is why we are having this 40-minute discussion. But Antony, the fact is that if they manage to do it, if the Prime Minister manages to push it, of course his back needs to be patted, and he will take the credit for it, because the fact is, in the last 27 years, only 8 years the BJP has been in power. Before that, there have been occasions when the Congress has been in power, but you have not managed to push the bill through, right?
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this in return. In 2014 and 2019, it was there in the manifesto of the BJP. It is almost 9 years now. Why didn't BJP had all these years used for this when when there's no urgency and secrecy which was lying there, and this was a priority which they have committed? Why now in 2024 on 2023 with such secrecy? I'm asking you a counter question.
Nikhat, I know you want to come in. Pull up. Ask me a counter question. Go ahead.
No, that's a counter question. So you're saying a pat on the back to the Prime Minister. I am asking, that this was a promise of BJP in the 2014 and 2019 manifesto that they will introduce this and they will get it done. In 9 years, there was so much of silence. And right now, just before the elections, they are bringing in so much of secrecy, and they are going to market an event. Whereas, we have been the champions of women reservation from the very beginning. And we still have passed a resolution that
but if the champions could not do anything, actually, if the champions have not been able to do anything, and the person who comes next is trying to do something and will
say that,
possibly manage to get it pushed.
We have passed it in the Rajya Sabha, and it is still there. As Tehseen said, the Rajya Sabha is not dissolved. It is still a going concern, because there is no dissolution of the Rajya Sabha. So it's a reintroduction of the bill into the Lok Sabha.
Okay. Nikhat Abbas, I know you want to come in, but Tehseen had a quiet question for you. Go ahead, Tehseen.
Nighat, so two very important questions, and congratulations because you're a very capable BJP spokesperson and a woman at that. So point number one, why didn't the BJP support the Congress, as Matthew said, when we passed it, the Congress passed this in the Rajya Sabha, to pass it in the Lok Sabha? Because everybody knows the Congress did not have a majority in the Lok Sabha between 2004 to 2014, the kind of majority Prime Minister Modi enjoyed. So why was the BJP, which often is accused of being a chauvinistic organization, did not come ahead and support the Congress like the Congress will support the BJP if it introduces the bill? Point number two, Nighat, very importantly, can you tell us that this bill will be passed without any terms and conditions so that capable women like you are in Parliament, and I really hope to see you in Parliament, rather than with terms and conditions apply 2029, 2026 onwards. It should be today and now. Can you throw light on these things?
Shreya, Tehseen is breaking up. Could you please repeat his questions? Could you repeat his questions, please?
So, again, I'll just
can't
repeat
hear
them.
anything
Number one,
because
why
we're
didn't the
all
BJP
sitting-
support... Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah.
No, I tell you what, I think she's outside
Yeah.
Parliament,
Yeah,
and there's a lot
Shreya,
of
can you
there's a lot of media there.
I came running to your studio.
Yes, Nikhat, I'm going to repeat that question for you because we understand that you're in Parliament. Yeah, we understand you're in Parliament, and there are a lot of
Please,
reporters
please.
there,
Yes, I can hear you
possibly
loud and
trying to
clear.
interview people, etc. So the question is that between 2004 and 14,
Right.
why did the BJP not support the Congress in passing the bill?
In the Lok Sabha.
In the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha mein to ho gaya tha. Lok Sabha mein the Congress didn't have a majority. Why didn't the BJP
Okay,
pitch
and the
in?
second question? And the second question? And the second
Pehle, first, let's
So
first
the
just
Bharatiya
answer
Janata Party
first
has
just answer
always
this question,
supported
Nikhat.
the women's reservation bill. Apparently, the people who are in alliance with the INDI alliance now were not supporting the bill. However, I'd like to say my friend was just mentioning about the women's reservation bill, and my friend was just talking, the other co-panelist was talking about the agenda has not been told. You were mentioning that the speculations are made only by the media. No, the speculations from day one has been made also by the opposition, like ONOP and Women's Reservation, sometimes UCC. Every day I hear of a new bill. However, when we talk about the agenda has been given clear out loud to the people, to the Parliament, and which is why we know that 4 bills are going to be discussed, which is Advocates Bill, Periodics Bill, and other 2 CEC Bill. And the other one is Post Office
Nikhat
Bill.
is-
But
Nikhat,
there's
you're not
always,
answering the
every
question.
time, and I'm sure, Shreya, you must be aware of that, every time when the agenda has been given, no, allow me to speak for 20 seconds. I have already answered that the BJP has always supported the women's reservation bill. It is the India alliance partners who have not supported the bill in the past. So I think it answers well. However, when we talk about Shreya, you must be aware of that. Whenever the agenda of the Parliament has been given, there always has to be a line that there are possibilities of adding new discussions. There's always, the space has always been kept. And like my friend was talking about the women's reservation bill. Now, always, every time we have seen that the opposition on whichever issue we're talking about, also about the triple talaq and Manipur discussion where women's issues were highlighted, sadly, the opposition chose to walk out. And as far as the BJP is considered, I would bring this to my knowledge, bring this to my friend's knowledge, Tehseen's knowledge, that BJP is the only party, my friend, who has the reservation already in the BJP's organization. And despite of the fact that we do not have the women's reservation bill, we have the maximum member of parliament female representatives, and also in different states we have the female MLA representatives also. Now, once again, we all know that this is the only party and this is the only government who has the first ever female finance minister. So I don't think so there any, there's any question about the women empowerment and reservation bill on the Bharatiya Janata Party. It is for Congress has to answer that why
Nikhat,
was it
you
pending
haven't
and why the bill
answered
has expired,
Tehseen's
and
question.
in spite of that fact, Congress party never considered that bill.
Okay, you haven't answered Tehseen's question, but here's what
Shreya,
I'll
which is
say.
why I said.
Don't tom-tom about the numbers you have.
What was the second question?
15%
Please,
in the
please,
Lok
please.
Sabha.
I could not
That
hear
is the
second question.
representation
You can tell me. You can repeat the second
of a
question.
gender group that makes up 50% of this country. 10% in our state legislature, actually 9% if you look at the national average. That is what we are talking about. It's dismal, it's shameful. But you speak about India allies and how some of them were not on board for the longest time when it comes to the women's reservation
I also
bill. The
spoke about
Samajwadi
how
Party,
the opposition
we know,
chose to
has
have a
historically
rotationary bill on women's reservation.
Okay. Acha, theek hai, 1 minute. But, one of the parties that has historically oppose the Women's Reservation Bill is the Samajwadi Party. Nahid Lari Khan, can you please help me understand where the Samajwadi Party stands today as far as the bill is concerned?
Shreya, I was listening to you. One thing I don't agree to you about that you were saying that women overwhelmingly vote for Mr. Modi. It's not true. That's if they vote so overwhelmingly for Mr. Modi, then why did BJP get 1% vote in Punjab? BJP was out with 1 run in Punjab, where they gave the slogan "Jaan bach gayi." So it's not true. They lost in Karnataka, they lost in Delhi, in Bengal, in Tamil Nadu. So many states are there. So Himachal Pradesh. So it's not true what you're saying. One thing more. One thing. The other thing I want to talk about is that BJP
Nahid,
was in
can I just clarify my stand here?
Yeah, sure.
Nahid, give me a minute since you've pointed at something that you don't agree with. I wasn't talking about the state elections. I was talking about the general elections. So I'm not talking about state elections. I was talking about the general elections where the Prime Minister is the driving face for the BJP and women come and vote for him. That's my experience. Of course, you can choose to disagree with me. That's
even
perfectly
in general
fine.
elections,
We are in a democracy after all.
No, of course, we are in a democracy. Even in general elections, even in general elections, nobody is voting on Mr. Modi's face. Right now, we had a by-election in Kosi. BJP lost very badly. They lost by approximately 40,000 votes. What happened in Mainpuri? BJP lost with approximately 3 lakh votes. They all were asking votes on Mr. Modi's face only. But women didn't vote 94% of the population that is PDA didn't vote. So anyhow, I just wanted to clarify this. Now the topic of discussion is women reservation bill. Now BJP talked about women reservation bill in the manifesto in 2014. They talked about it in 2019. For 9.5 years, BJP is in power and they're in full majority. But still they didn't pass this bill. They have passed so many bills. But they didn't pass this bill. Why? Because this is a party which is an anti-women party. It's clear it's an anti-women party. That's why this party did not speak for 80 days when a horrific incident like Manipur incident took place. They didn't speak for 80 days. And even in the House, BJP didn't want to discuss on Manipur. It was the opposition who took a stand and we called for a no confidence motion that they were compelled. Mr. Modi was compelled to come to the House and speak a little bit on Manipur. So they are not pro-women party. It's an anti-women party. You were talking about Samajwadi Party. So when, you yourself, you have said that in 1996, when it was Deve Gowda's government, it was first introduced. So we were also in power. Honorable Netaji was the defense minister at that time. And if you talk about UP, then be it Panchayat Chunav, be it Nagar Nigam Chunav, reservation was introduced by Honorable Netaji.
The Samajwadi Party has historically, Nahid, but the Samajwadi Party has historically been opposed to the bill. Been opposed to the bill. You may have changed your point of view now, which is great. But you have to tell me that you have changed your point of view and that you are going to back the government if it is introduced. That's all I'm asking you.
Shreya, just 1 second.
Yeah.
I'll just save let me just save you. The Samajwadi Party was not opposed to the women's reservation bill. What Netaji said was within the women's reservation bill, there should be a quota for SC, ST, OBC women. However,
the Samajwadi
if the BJP was serious in passing the bill, which the Congress passed in the Rajya Sabha, they should have supported. But the BJP, apart from being anti-women, is also anti-SC, ST. Therefore, they didn't support.
So let me answer. Tehseen thank you. Let me answer, Shreya. Tehseen ji, thanks. We all know, since I'm from the party, I know this very well, that Honorable Netaji was demanding for quota for OBC, SC, ST women. Now, if you talk about 10 years back and 12 years back, what happened? So then even we should talk about what BJP did, how BJP were the big chaplus of Angrez, how they were doing chaplusi of the Angrez and, during the freedom struggle. So then let's talk about Sati also, what BJP's Purkhas they did with women, burned women alive in, on pyres. They practiced Sati, lakhs and lakhs of women they burnt alive. So, and if you talk about
everyone is allowed to change their mind. And that is perfectly okay.
No, one thing more. Let me tell you one thing more, Shreya. Samajwadi Party, strong supporter of women. At one time in 1980, our election symbol was only Mahila. That time BJP used to make fun and ask कि बताओ महिला के मुंह पे ठप्पा लगाना है कि सर पे ठप्पा लगाना है. So this is that time even my father was a contested election. That's why I know from Lucknow. That's why I know that mahila symbol tha hamari party ka. That time BJP
my
used
question
make
to you is
fun.
simple.
And BJP is an anti-women party. It is clear because they save rapists. They save rapists, be it in case of Hathras, be it in case of Unnao, be it in case of Shahjahanpur. They've been saving rapists. They've been, welcoming rapists with garlands. They've been releasing rapists from jails like in Bilkis Bano case. So how can you expect BJP to be pro-women?
Now, while I agree with... I agree with the examples you are raising.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying
but
that
Nahid asked you a very simple question. I asked, you have not answered that question. Nahid, my question to you is, my question to you was simple. If the Women's Reservation Bill is introduced on the floor of the new parliament, will the Samajwadi Party back it or not? मेरा सवाल तो बहुत simple था. उसका जवाब दे दो, हाँ या ना में दे दो, काम खत्म.
No. ये हाँ ना में जवाब. Why don't you ask such हाँ ना में जवाब from BJP? Ask them when will inflation get over? When will cylinder price come back to normal? 400 rupees. Ask them when the youth will be employed. Ask them in yes or no. Then you don't ask them in yes or no. For 18 days you didn't ask them in yes or no.
No, this is, it's 8:33. It's not the time to eat jalebi for someone my age.
When will you go to Manipur? Answer in yes or no. Ask this from
Nahid, jalebi mat khilao. I asked you a simple question. You have not responded to that simple question. Acha, theek hai. So
whatever.
But you have not responded to a simple question I'm asking. Matthew Anthony, meanwhile...
I'll answer, Shreya. Whatever. See, India Gathbandhan, 28 parties of India are together. And whatever India has to say, India will say in the parliament. And let the bill come. We'll see. Right now, you are only not sure. Right now, the BJP spokesperson is not sure. Poor thing.
But Mallikarjun Kharge on the floor of the House has said we are going to back it.
She is not a government spokesperson. BJP spokesperson is not a government spokesperson.
Okay, I've heard you. All right. Okay.
She's a party spokesperson.
Nahid, bas ab bhai chup bhi ho jao. 2 minutes. Okay. Nahid, I've heard you. Let others speak also. See, you haven't answered my question. That's the sum total of what we've done in the last 5 minutes. But Matthew Anthony, you were raising your hands and you were smiling as well. No, you have not answered it.
Shreya, my answer to the subject,
Acha, theek hai Nahid. Ha.
Shreya, my answer to the...
1 minute, Nahid. Let him speak. He's your alliance partner only. Huh.
My answer to the question, irrespective, keeping the politics aside, there is a lot of concerns on the sectional part of the reservation, which is the Dalit, the backward, the SC/ST, which is a concern because
Correct.
In one single sentence, the answer is a lot of SC/ST backward representation, OBC representation of men in the parliament will be replaced by upper class women is a concern. That is, that is a concern which is a larger concern within the broader perspective of the women's bill. But the parties as such is favoring the women's bill because it is much required in the country. So there are other aspects in the women's bill which needs broader discussion, which needs broader agreement. That is a part of it, which will come later. The first part is the women's reservation bill. If it comes, we all are supporting it, and it should come through. The only thing which we disagree with you in the statement is, the pat on the back. The pat on the back is not only to the Prime Minister, but all the parties who are supporting it, because, there are parties who have taken this initiative much before the Prime Minister also.
Absolutely.
So that is what we are saying. Then, I also disagree with the,
Matthew, I
with the BJP spokesperson that there are 4 bills, which have been told. And, why the Prime Minister has to keep up a suspense saying that there are so many surprises in the Parliament. What is the need for that? What is the need to say that there are so many surprises?
Okay,
if
Matthew,
they can disclose 4 bills, they can disclose the rest of the bills also. That's the point which I have to make.
Can I just ask you then, is the concern when it comes to the Women's Reservation Bill, there are concerns that political parties have raised. One is the concern about, having a quota within a quota, which means having a quota for SC, ST women as well within this larger ambit of a 33% reservation for women, because you don't want upper class women to take away and corner all the benefits of what essentially is affirmative action. That is one. But the second concern that has been raised by parties also is, let us decide. If 33% women's reservation has to come in, don't reserve seats for women. Let us see where we want to place them. Is that a concern for you as well? Because I heard some netas say that if you let the government decide which seats will, will be reserved for women reservation or which seats will be reserved specifically for women, they might just pick high-profile seats that are aligned with the opposition leaders. Is that a concern, or is it a sideshow?
Let me answer you in 2 points. One is, you have removed, know that, the government has removed the CJI from the appointment of the election commissioner. So if you leave the decision to the government, which is very unilateral in their decision making, there will be concerns. So as long as there are consensus, there are consultations, there are decision making consensus which are reached on, then there can be a consensus on that one. Else, the parties, we have not made a stand out of that one. Right now, our stand is that the women reservations has to be approved. The women reservation bill will be supported, and we want the bill to be tabled, and we will support that one. At the same time, on this pertinent question, if the government is going to unilaterally decide, then they're going to decide only in their favor, which no one will agree to. That is common sense, for us to kind of look into. That is not a concern against women. That's a concern against the way in which the government makes a decision. Because, we have seen that the CJI being ousted out of the appointment committee of election commissioner. So if the government is going to do everything in their favor to win elections, then, we will not have the trust on the government to decide on such things. And the government is not consultative at all. They still hold the surprise and trying to take the credit, where, they want consensus from all, but they want to take the credit unilaterally to them. That's something which we disagree with.
Okay, we'll see how this plays out. We'll leave it there, but we'll see how this plays out because, tomorrow is when the new parliament is opening its doors to India's parliamentarians and to India as well. It's an auspicious occasion. Will it have an auspicious beginning? Maybe the women's reservation bill. We'll just wait and watch. We are so far not hearing any word from the cabinet meeting that has ended about 10 minutes ago. So if we have some information coming our way, we'll put that across for our viewers. For the moment, Nikat Abbas, good to have you on the show. Thank you. Nahid, thanks very much for joining us. Matthew Anthony, thank you. And thank you very much, Tehseen, for coming all the way to the studio, for running all the way to the studio.
Thank you. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi to everyone.
I know. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi to everyone. Can I just quickly slip into a break? We'll be back with more. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay with us.